I don't know that a lot of people really understand the numbers. And I think that this show will help us to maybe not normalize, but to bring into the light some of the challenges we have with people who go missing in this country alone.
Oh my goodness, I am such a big fan of Found already. I really love the show. I think it's so unique. To start off, I would love to just know, what sticks out most to you about the series? How do you feel it really differentiates itself from other procedurals?
Found's going to set itself apart with the obvious, with the Mark Paul Gosselaar twist. I think it's got a strong procedural backbone that we can kind of feel comfortable with from our history of watching television. But but as soon as you throw Sir into the mix, it starts to set itself uh, above the rest, I think. And then also that internal battle that our lead has to go through with being a protagonist antagonist sort of hybrid, and you don't see a lot of that in network procedurals. So I think it's going to set itself apart mainly on that vein.
I know you've also worked on things like the Avengers, and I'm very curious kind of if that work, I mean, they're very different, but if anything about that kind of transfers to your work over here, are there any kind of similarities?
Yes and no. There is definitely a sense of creating drama that translates across the board, Avengers to All American to Found, CSI. Those are common threads that I think kind of go without saying. But the action and the suspense and the dynamic nature of Avengers has helped me to sort of bring a little tone to Found, whether it be through the Conan Oberoi character chasing and getting his guy, or if it's just the way Margaret uses her Margaret vision. There's a little superhero in each one of these characters. So being able to kind of find a way to translate that onto the screen, yeah, Marvel definitely helped.
Well, there's obviously a lot going on when you're shooting a pilot and you're trying to, make a first impression. You're letting viewers know why they should come back. So, tonally, what did you and the team really want to convey when you were first starting off?
I think it was very important, especially for Nkechi Okoro, the creator, executive producer, queen bee of the show, that we tell stories that are relatable, that are real. Every one of our characters, as amazing and as many superhero qualities as they might have, every one of them is fractured. Every one of them has a past of a hardship, and seeing that struggle and the way they use that trauma to make their worlds better. I think that was one of the most important parts for us, to really put forth an aspirational show, something that made people believe that there's hope. And then at the end of it, you can't run from your dark side either. So there's a little bit of facing who you really are, and maybe that's not the person you want to be. So there's a lot about the pilot that I thought spoke to the state of the world right now. I mean, there's a lot of fractured people who are trying to do the right thing, and then there's a lot of dark sides out there. So I think we hit a home run when we tried to put that all into one little TV show.
Yeah, no, that actually kind of ties into my next question because obviously the show is fictional, but I mean it addresses some really prevalent issues, especially about, Black children being overlooked in missing person cases. What do you think is most important about the way the show is kind of addressing these topics?
The show challenges on a very in your face level some maybe accepted or ignored norms of the way we look for missing people, brown, Black, Asian, kids, adults, trans, confused elderly. There's a list of people that's unbelievable that don't get the resources that are given to a select few. And I think that that's a story that that needs to be revealed, that needs to be brought into the light. It's not like the resources don't exist. It's just how we allocate them. And I don't know that a lot of people really understand the numbers. And I think that this show will help us to maybe not normalize, but to bring into the light some of the challenges we have with people who go missing in this country alone.
I really love Gabby. I thought she was a wonderful protagonist from like the first second that I saw her. She seems like she's rough around the edges from like everything she's been through, but she's got this huge heart. She's really trying to, help everyone so they don't go through what she went through. Could you maybe give a little bit of insight into what the directors, really wanted from the actress when she was stepping into this role?
I'm fortunate enough to have directed 3 of the episodes. As a matter of fact, the episode coming up next week is the one I directed. First one I directed. So I can say from firsthand experience that what we needed to show with Gabby was a strength and a resilience and an ability to heal, an ability to repurpose trauma, and at the same time to show someone who maybe isn't completely in control, and how those can exist inside one being, whether or not they're searching for the light. And I think that was a very complex tone for Shinola to strive to do every day. Because, like I said, it also has very much the formulaic procedural sort of structure to it. And so a lot of the scenes couldn't be a broken hero, couldn't be a conflicted, kidnappee. They had to be moving our story forward. And then how do you do that without, balancing that act? That's a tough call. But I think Shinola pulled it off with grace and with a sense of power. And I mean, if you like what you've seen so far, just wait.
Ooh, I'm excited.
Yeah.
Well, I also, I love the team dynamic here. Gabby obviously doesn't work alone. So, what did you enjoy most about kind of bringing that team to life and watching it play out on screen?
To be honest, that's another tip that had to Nkechi Okoro Carol. The way she developed this story and brought this group of people together. Each one of them has a story that's rich enough to hold a whole season. So knowing what I know about their backgrounds and watching that slowly come to the surface and watching the slow revelation of our audience as to who these people really are is exciting. It's empowering. It speaks to the cohesion of all these broken people in the pursuit of good. I think you're right. I think that the team dynamic of it is a very strong element. Another thing that we also very much wanted to convey in the pilot is that she does not work alone. She couldn't do it alone.
I was already a fan of Brett Dalton from his work on Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. I was a big Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. fan, so I was super excited to see him in the show. He's definitely playing a different role than he did there. But how was kind of collaborating with him during this process?
First of all, Brett's a very highly trained classical actor. He comes with such a skill set that it's really kind of a gift for a director, producer, a writer to be able to work with someone like him. You can give him any directive, you can give him any scenario, and he'll really chew on it and digest it and bring it into the character. So his character is sort of that purgatory between law enforcement and Gabby's PR firm. He can't really choose one or the other, and he rides that fence. And then there's a huge emotional attachment to Gabby as well. So very complex things to give, someone who's trying to keep it all, under the guise of just a helpful hand. So I think Brett brought a lot to the sense of Gabby's struggle with law enforcement, yet how much she needs the resources of law enforcement. And also on the flip side, how much of an irritant she can be to law enforcement and how much they wish that she'd stop making so much noise. And stuck in the middle is Brett Dalton.
Yeah, no, I mean that kind of answered my next question. I was going to ask you about, Gabby and Mark, because I really was enjoying that dynamic from the get-go. It's very much, oh, she's always going around the law and it's exasperating, but also he lets her do it. So, is there anything else you really enjoy about that dynamic?
Well, and then there's the unspoken sexual tension there as well. There's obviously a relationship simmering under the surface that we get hints and, excuse me, little sneak previews of, but playing with that dynamic while they're doing dialogue that has nothing to do with that is a lot of fun. And I think it makes for good television.
Lastly, I saw that you've worked in several different departments, from cinematography, obviously, to the director's chair. So is there a role that you enjoy doing most?
Well, to be honest, I'm settling into this producing directing role quite comfortably. I enjoy sitting in the chair behind all the chairs and observing. And I enjoy seeing a season of television rather than an episode and seeing how it all works as one unit, how resources can be allocated, how drama can be, achieved through a slow roll, through a big bang. All those things are kind of exclusive to being part of a season of producing television. But producing and directing, you kidding me? That's the sweet spot.
Awesome. Well, amazing. That is all I had for you. But, thank you so much for hopping on the call with me. Again, I'm such a big fan of the show. I cannot wait to see what's coming up in the season. So,
Well, definitely look out for the next couple episodes. They're gonna reveal a lot about who the rest of the team is.
something you said you direct the next episode, or
Direct episode 3, and then I directed 6, and then 13.
3, 6, and 13. Got it. Awesome. Well, I'm super excited for those. Yeah.